Hi, everyone. Andrea Strang at Gallery222. I'm actually sitting in Marybeth Khan's work room, her display, and it's gorgeous. So please come out and see it in person because it is something to behold. So we are here today to talk about Marybeth, and this is our first artist that we have done the second table talk. She did a virtual table talk last April, and so this is her second, and it's just so much fun now to see what we talked about then, and then we have all new topics. So I encourage you to look up her first table talk because it was really enjoyable to watch. So let's get on with this one. So let's welcome Marybeth.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you, Andrea, and everyone listening.
Yes. Well, I have good news for you. We just sold the Mandarin. Which way am I going? This one. Oh. Yep. How exciting. Like right before we came on. It was like, oh my gosh, I love it. So like I said, we've talked to you before, so we're trying not to, we want to keep it moving, and we don't want to, step on the toes that, talk about things that we already talked about. So let's just start with, you had mentioned in the other interview that you studied under Neil Carlin, and you left that academy feeling like you could paint anything. So why still life and florals?
Part of the why of still life and florals is the world is a beautiful place, and there are beautiful things in it, and I want to grow in seeing that and grow in wonder, and I hope to help other people do the same thing. We all when you see the world from someone else's perspective, you can see it in a new way. Mm-hmm. And I guess one thing about still life that I particularly like is I love it when I'm just going through daily life, walking through the kitchen or the backyard or something, and I just see a scene in the corner that has beautiful light or color or something. So I like those like candid everyday scenes. That's what I'm most attracted to, inspired by with still life.
Yeah, I agree. I never had that perspective until I took art class. Now, granted, I did not have any talent, but it did open my eyes to look at the ordinary and to see how light affects objects. So, and again, I encourage everybody to take an art class just for that perspective, just what you talked about. The ordinary can be so beautiful. And you do capture it so well. So let's talk about composition. Like, is there certain compositions you like to work with that really showcases light?
Yeah, so oftentimes it's light on a particular form that first captures my imagination, and then the rest of the painting is about making everything work around that to highlight that one thing that I particularly liked. Mm-hmm. There's the one thing that's inspiring, like with the grapefruit. It's like all the colors in the grapefruit with the warms and cools and the whites, and then the really intense chroma in the red, and the transmitted light from where the light is going through an object out the other side. It really makes it glow. So there's oftentimes that one's work, and then working to make a dynamic composition that keeps your eye moving through it and in it and highlighting that one thing.
Yeah, no, that's fabulous. I feel looking in this room, you have like two series going on. You have your still lifes. I should try to, like the still lifes along here that are all very traditionally framed. And then you have like this, the ones that are in the floater frames. like the red onion. They're a little bit more, and the grapefruit that we just showed. Was that done on purpose, or you just, just started painting? Like, did you go out, seek out to do a couple series, or it just, you paint what you like?
It's not necessarily intentional. I just think that, well, sometimes in the painting, I'll get to a point where it's a little bit less finished than some of my others, and I like it where it is. And sometimes, whether it's that kind of unfinished feel, or it's the color and light composition, sometimes works better with that kind of like a floater frame instead of a heavier, darker traditional frame.
Yeah, well, no, they work well. I mean, and they definitely live together well. But I did group it the way I hung the show. I grouped it where it was, they were had their own little place, their little area, which I love. And so many compliments. You have no idea. And we have, Randall Graham upstairs teaching. So a lot of these aspiring artists are like for days looking at your work and admiring it. So I just want you to know that. It's really fun for me. So what is the most challenging and fun with still lifes? And before you answer, I remember, when we talked last, you had so many different mechanisms to keep things in place and stuff. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So, well, I guess one thing with still life is one of my goals is like capturing the life that's in something, making it look alive. And when you're painting organic objects, that's often hard to do because they're either growing or dying as you're painting them. So like one of the pieces I have in this show are some tulips that are laid down on the table. So when I started that, I had them arranged in the composition I wanted, and then usually these paintings take like a day or two. So I came back either like 6 hours later at night or maybe the next morning, and the tulips had started out flat, and when I came back, they were like 2 or 3 inches off the table, growing towards the light. So like tulips actually keep growing once you cut them. So like it's sometimes it can be stressful, but sometimes it's like a fun challenge to capture them before they change too much.
Yes, I love that one. And you know what I love about that is you added a little blue that just is so subtle. Did you put that in before the flowers or after? When was that? When did you do that? I just love that touch.
Or in the flowers themselves?
No, in the on the top.
Yeah, on the table.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's just roughly the color of the like the shelf I was using, and I like having that kind of maybe antique look where you have some of the the brown underneath showing through the painted top. So
yes.
But no. So one other thing that another fun challenge that I like with this kind of stuff, and particularly with this painting, is I like those kind of random, chaotic walking through the house kind of scene. So it's kind of like a challenge and a little bit of a paradox to make a interesting and ordered composition that's balanced and draws you in, and still have it look like it's a random chaotic scene. So it's like getting both of those at the same time is something that it's a challenge for me to grow more in, and it's fun. I like trying to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you do it well, that's for sure. Oh, we have somebody, Liz Bradley. She is one of our Gallery222 family members, and she is one of the students, she's saying, that comes in and was staring at your work. She takes class from Randy. So thank you, Liz. Thanks for your comments. So I should have said in the beginning, please you give me a question or just say hi, but know that we're open to all your comments as we're doing this. And even after, there's been some questions after the interviews, and I've actually given the artist a heads up and said, can you go on Facebook and answer? So if you have a question, even when you're looking at this afterwards, please fire it in, because we do get back to them. So my next question for you is your favorite artist or influence. Who would you say that was?
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There are artists, and then also other people in the arts that are not just fine art, but for actual artists. I a whole range, like from Renaissance, like Andrea del Sarto and Michelangelo, and then Vermeer, and some later people like John Singer Sargent and Anders Zorn.
Yeah. Well, you're very classical, so I can see how they influence. I love just your almost old world type feel to your work, and it makes me giggle. It probably doesn't make you giggle, but you look so young. I know you're not as young as you look, and you're going to love that comment when you're old like me. But when your work is so mature and like I said, timeless. And then you come walking in. When I first met you, I was like, oh my, you're so young. I just didn't expect it. So I just, just a passing comment. So now we talked before about your love for music. So can you comment on music or, writing, any other influences for your work?
Yeah, maybe I love music, and it's another strong passion of mine. Like, if I wasn't going to be an artist, I would love to have been a musician. I'm not sure I quite have the talent for that, but I would. It's a dream. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that music really directly influences my art, at least not consciously right now, but there are parallels to learning and
so you're saying, like, studying art and studying music, there's a parallel there.
Yeah, like so one thing is, I think a lot of people have this idea that artists you're either born an artist or not, and it's this natural talent, and that's, I think, probably 95% of the time not really true. It's a lot of many hours going into disciplined study and learning a technical skill. So, like, I think people have more of a sense of that with music. Like, it's a very understood thing that you spend hours playing scales and exercises, and you don't just sit down and play a Mozart. Mozart's not right away. And so there's a lot of that parallel study with music. I guess, like, one thing that I like, maybe I mentioned this last time, but with painting, there's a lot, it feels like a lot more of me coming up with something from nothing. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. So like with music, it's a nice break to me, because it's a different kind of creativity. You're working with someone else's creativity, where they created a piece of music, and then I can be creative with how I play it and how I interpret it. So playing piano and other things is a different kind of creativity that I also enjoy on the side.
So with music, it's more of a jumping off. Like, you have a blueprint and you're jumping off on that, where a blank canvas is a blank canvas. So
I am drawing from the world around me, but
yeah. But you're actually more creative from the word go.
I suppose. Probably musicians would argue with that, but
yeah, that's true. So here is the one thing we're going to just specifically, because I really want to get to the art and I want to show pictures of your work. So we're just going to pop up the pieces, and you can talk about them, whatever pops in your mind. So What do you want to start with? The apples. Oh my goodness. Love that. That I have to say, I had another artist come in and stand far across the room and said her words exactly. She nailed that. Like that, she nailed that. Just the color, the light, everything. So talk about that piece.
Yeah, it's actually probably one of my favorites in the show too. There was just something that I got somehow about it that was very satisfying. That was actually one piece that I sometimes this happens where I painted it and I liked it, but it just like wasn't quite working. And a few months later, I went in and lightened it up a little bit. So that's just like an example of how art works. Sometimes it doesn't always work from the start. I guess this painting, I love fall. It's my favorite season. I love the weather and I actually kind of like dyeing things. And I love I go apple picking every year, so this is like a favorite thing of mine. And I love it when you don't just have produce from the store. That I love it when it looks like it's just been picked, like you still have the branches and leaves and things on. So that's one thing I like about this. And maybe going back to you mentioned like other influences, like literary influences. So some people that have affected my art and how I think about it a lot are people like G.K. Chesterton and C.S. Lewis. They were like 20th century lay theologian, philosophy kind of people. Chesterton was actually an illustrator himself, so a bit of an artist. And they just have this like deep enthusiasm for the world and life. And this piece reminded me of a quote that I really appreciate from Chesterton, where he says something like, he's talking about like leaves, fall leaves, and like all the little violets that are out in my lawn right now, like this what looks like maybe random, meaningless repetition in nature, and he wants to call it. He wants to help. He says, rather than seeing it as random repetition, mere repetition, maybe it is a theatrical encore. So instead of just having, apples can get pretty with the familiarity of everyday life, can get kind of boring. Yeah, I just want to say, like, look at this. Well, so I'm a Christian, and I would say, like, look at this great thing that God did. Like, isn't it amazing? Like, keep looking at it. It's exciting and wonderful, and
it's almost like what he's saying. It's almost like a theatrical dance that we do. It's not like
I did this so well the first time. Let's do it a million times again, and it doesn't get old. So that's a little bit of
and it should be celebrated.
Yep.
That's great. That's beautiful. I love that. I have to start reading him. That's great. So here, what's the next one? Are we going to do the red onion? This is another one. Oh my goodness. You can feel the fragility of the skin, the outer skin. I just don't know how you can put that texture in that. Please enlighten us.
Yeah. So onions and like maybe grapefruits and things. There are a few of these like default objects that I'll never get tired of painting. There's something about onions that are just so much fun. If you really look at an onion, there are so many different colors in them. And then I love, it's so satisfying getting it to feel papery and transparent and all that. I love painting onions.
Yes, well, you did that so well. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, I hope the picture captures it, but to see it here in person, this is actually, I'm actually looking at it. It is just exquisite. And I can't believe it's paint. Like it just looks three-dimensional to me. This is just an exquisite piece. I love it.
I'm doing some of those smaller ones where it's just the one object rather than like a big composition with a lot going on. It's fun to have one object and really, really look closely at like all the little different changes going on. Like it's not just alizarin crimson out of the tube. It's all these little variations, and it's fun to find those and hopefully help people see them too.
Oh, fabulous. So beautiful. So we're running out of time, so we got one more. So we're going to do this piece. This is what this is the other series. Like this feels totally different than the other pieces, but I love that bowl. You can feel the weight of it. I mean, it's just, so please tell us about this piece.
Yeah, so I guess this is another one of those where it's it looks like someone was making dinner and left off for a minute and walked through the room at that moment. And that's something that's very attractive to me. And, it's not like only very posed arrangements and like floral arrangements that are beautiful, but I like finding these scenes that are just everyday and kind of random, and just like seeing beauty in those things and not just like okay, a flower.
Yeah, no, you do it in the spoon. I mean, that the reflection in the spoon. I mean, that is just, you can stand in front of your work for hours. So that's why I'm hoping, everyone is getting more and more comfortable with coming into the gallery. We are here 11 to 5, Wednesday through Saturday. So please come in and see Marybeth's work. We're going to say goodbye to Marybeth. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and letting us talk to you again. And I encourage you to see the two YouTube pieces. Oh, and I have to say hi to Chuck Daly. I saw he popped in, and I probably was blabbering and missed saying hello to him. But so thank you so much, Marybeth.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, everyone watching.
Yes. And the show is on until May 1st, so please come out and see this beautiful show. Our next table talk is with Jeannie Gunther. That's next Wednesday at 3:00. So can't wait to talk to her. And I can't believe next week is the last week for this show. It flew. So again, we're here. We're online 24/7. So it's Gallery222 Malvern.com. It's easy. It's a few clicks, and the piece is yours. So please support us and our artist, and you'll end up with a painting that you will love forever. So thank you again, and see you next week.